Run it.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the very first episode of the Play College Sports Talk Show for 2021.
Yes, sir.
I am one half of the dynamic duo, Stephen Boss, joined as always by my co-host.
Your boy Cool McCain.
So, we was off last week. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, enjoy whatever holidays you might celebrate. Hope y'all had a safe and great New Year's Eve last night. And ready to kick this thing off, man. We got a lot of sports that happened in the last 2 weeks. We'll be giving you some of our thoughts on 2020, some of our favorite stories, and we'd love to hear yours too. So if you want to throw those in the chat throughout the night, that would be awesome. And I do know that some of y'all might be trying to catch this Clemson Ohio State game at the same time, so we might chat a little bit about that. I do have it pulled up in front of me here, so we'll be doing all that tonight. Plus, as always, answering your questions. So cool. So cool, man. What you want to kick it off with, man? Just because I know there's a lot, man. There's a lot that happened in 2 weeks.
Whole lot happened in 2 weeks, man. But one thing we got to talk about, we've got to discuss what happened with the football team's quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
I'm in love with a stripper.
She rocking and rolling and rolling. So for those of you that might not know, and I'm sure everybody does know, but just for the sake of argument, Dwayne Haskins before the last game was caught at an male entertainment center, being pleasured by voluptuous women, and well, let me rephrase it: not being pleasured, but enjoying seeing voluptuous women in very scantily clad outfits. And pictures were taken, and this was up before the game this past week. What I found interesting was nothing happened to him until he went into the game where he stunk it up, was pulled out, then he was cut. I guess my only real take on the situation is you got to do better, Dwayne Haskins, because you didn't have your mask on, right? Because there's nothing wrong if you want to go to an adult facility and enjoy, what's there. You're of the age to be able to do that, but number one, you have to social distance, and number two, you have to wear your mask. It doesn't feel like this is the only incident he's had that we may not know about. But I mean, when you're causing negative press on a team that really does not need any negative press right now, with their owner and all his shenanigans, and you're not playing well on the field, you're going to get cut. And that's pretty much what happened to him.
Well, man, if there's one thing we can say with certainty based on the stories that are going around about said owner, at least it wasn't none of the cheerleaders that he was there watching.
This is very true.
But the best I can really give you in this particular sentence, man.
What up, Witty Flow? So the Witty Flow states that Haskins ain't ready. I can't disagree with that, right? I mean, there's no part of me that says, what do you mean? He went out there, he played great. I think he's one of those guys that's like the old school first round picks, right? He needs to come in, have somebody sit behind a mentor. We talked before the season, and what did I say? I said, hey, he needs to be able to sit behind Alex Smith, who I said would be the quarterback by the end of the season.
Yep.
And learn. You know what I'm saying? Some of the things he's done took him out of that possibility happening. But, there's already been reports that there are several teams who are interested in him, one of them being the Panthers here in Charlotte. So I think he'll have another opportunity. Hopefully this time he'll land somewhere where he gets that opportunity to learn and he'll take it seriously. Now, he did get on Twitter the same day he was released and take ownership for, his release and how there's some things he needs to do better at. And, he's still learning. So I can respect that at least he was man enough to say, hey, I made mistakes here. And that's one of the reasons why I'm gone. So, I'll try to do better, if I get another opportunity. But, the organization failed this kid too. You know what I'm saying? He didn't come into a solid organization that was ready, that was scandal free, where he got a chance to really learn behind someone and develop. So I think the organization failed him, to some extent as well.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you have a young player come in like that, you have to kind of look at, okay, how much is it that this person didn't put in the work, and how much of it is the organization failed them.
Right.
And just in looking at what we know about the organization, what it's been prior to this year, anyways, because I'm going to give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt this year because, they did bring in a new GM, new head coach. It does take some time to change some of that stuff culture wise. But prior to this year, they were obviously a really bad organization. So, although I'm sure that Dwayne Haskins certainly deserves some of the blame, I do think you have to at least consider the fact that the organization probably didn't put him in the best position either.
Not at all. Not at all. But hopefully, he'll land somewhere. Like I said, he'll get a better chance. And football team looks like they're going to be on the prowl again for a quarterback. What a shock! What a shock!
When Flo said they trying to have Minshew come to Washington be the backup for Alex Smith. I don't know if y'all ready for that Minshew mania now.
Hey man, I don't know if you're ready for the stash up there, man. You gonna put the stash with your owner?
He's gonna go out there and be like, "What you gonna do, brother, when the stash comes to town?"
You know what they call that Minshew stash? That's the perfect situation
Bow,
for
bow,
what they
bow,
call the
bow.
stash. Mm.
Yeah, but the same club the way Haskins was in.
Bring the stash with you, folks. Hey man, it is what it is. It's all good. Guys, we starting to get near the end of the season. So we're starting to see, everything shape up in the NFL. So that's going to be interesting. We know the number one seeds are the real big story, and I use that parentheses for Sunday is the last game. And that's going to be the Eagles and the football team, basically for the division. Because earlier in the day, you'll have the Cowboys and the Giants play. And then the winner of that game is waiting to see what happens in the Eagle football team game. Because if the Eagles win, whoever wins that game, will be in for that last spot. Will literally back their way into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then the loser, and then if we lose, then the football team's going to win. So that'll be exciting, and I use that term very loosely. To see, but it's that last Sunday night game, so it's one that I always watch. This time I have to watch the train wreck that my team has become. Go out there and play the football team, who could be a train wreck themselves because we don't know if Alex Smith is going to be able to play or not, and if so, they have to score the Heineke or whatever his name is. But we'll see. That still may be enough to beat the Eagles team that's going to probably go out in the field because we got a lot of guys that are not going to play, and I've already been put on IR. So, we weren't looking good before. Then we're losing some guys. So I think it'll be probably an even matchup, to be honest.
Yeah, this is going to be a week that's going to be interesting because we got a couple matchups like that. Uh, you look at the Arizona and Rams game. You
Yeah.
might have both starting quarterbacks out for that game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be some ugly football this weekend, I think, man. But
Yep. Yeah.
and there's playoff spots on the line too now. That's the other thing about it. These aren't just games where guys are going out there and they're meaningless football games. These are games where guys are trying to get into the playoffs. Well, at least the the West matchup, they're trying to get into the playoffs. I'm not sure that anybody's actually trying to win the East. I think everybody's trying to not get in.
Well, we're not getting in. We were officially eliminated last week, so we're not getting in. So
Woody
top
Flo
10
said he
pick.
watched they get that dub.
Here we
Woody
come.
Flo said he went in. He said he don't care if they 7-9. He'll go in. He'll take it.
Hey man, I don't blame you. You know what I'm saying? I said this a couple of weeks ago. If you look at the NFCs, the best quarterback right now playing is Alex Smith. Let's be real. Young from the Giants, he's not ready. Maybe a year or two. Baby Eli will be better, but he's not. He's not there now. Uh, we already know what's going on in Philadelphia. We don't have to continue to talk about that. And then we know you got Andy Dalton in Dallas. So let's be honest, the best quarterback in the division, if he's healthy enough to play, is Alex Smith. So you know, shoot, you might as well go run it, see what happens. Witty Flow
Basically.
and John Billable. Say here you're looking forward to watching that Sunday night game to see what happens. Um, it's like the best storyline they could come up with, and I get it because a lot of the positions are in place. It's just you're fighting a lot of them for if you're going to be the division winner or you're going to be the wild card. So, not as much intrigue in those, but this one is for an actual playoff berth because somebody's got to get in. So that's going to be the one that most people are going to be like, all right, well, we see what's really good with it. So I get it, but just a little disappointed at how bad the division's been overall. I heard a conversation on the radio earlier where they were talking about the worst division in football. So they said that we were the fourth worst division ever. But that wasn't something to be proud of, which I agree. Whenever you're in the conversation for being the worst division ever, it's already not a good thing.
Right. To be able to sit back and say, well, there's 3 divisions in the history of the NFL that were worse than us. I mean, the NFL been around for, what are we using now? Close to about 100 years by now, right? Might actually be over 100 years. So, to say there's only been 3 divisions ever in all that time that's actually worse, yeah, that's not something to be proud of at all. But for those of y'all who might not be watching live, might be catching this on replay, maybe you're listening on one of your favorite podcast stations. The look that my co-host just had, you need to come over to YouTube and check it out. I'm still getting a look, y'all. I'm still getting a look.
I can't, it's so many things you can say, but at the end of the day, it all leads back to whether they're right about them being the 4th worst team or not. At the end of the day, they're in the conversation for the worst division ever. That's all you need to hear.
I think my team is definitely in the conversation for worst season ever after a Super Bowl appearance.
Probably.
So yeah, I can't talk too much. We're not doing that great either. Just like y'all were eliminated from the playoffs, hoping for draft picks at this point.
Hey man, I mean, when you have no real hope of doing anything, at that point you turn to the draft and say, hey, maybe we can draft somebody. Surtain, I want it. All that means is that Howie will never pick him. All that means.
Come on, man. Every mock draft in America has the Eagles taking a wide receiver. You want a cornerback. That clearly means y'all are taking a guard.
Or we're going to take a running back. Or if we do take a wide receiver, it'll be somebody that should have been a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Until they prove me wrong, man, that's how it feels.
That's how you feel, man. I can't be mad at you for feeling that way, bro. Yeah, I can't be mad at you for feeling that way.
But no need to dwell on that for too long, sir. No need to dwell on that for too long. So one of the things we wanted to talk about was just a recap of this year. Not something in a lot of time on, but just different things sports related, or if it's something that's outside of sports, go ahead and throw it in there as well. But basically, important things or things that stuck out to you, for this past year since January. It's been a long year. So it probably feels like 2 or 3 years of you, like it does to most of us. But one of the things for me was how well my team, the Denver Nuggets, played in the bubble. I was very proud to see them kind of step it up a little bit, play well, get the job done. Obviously, we didn't win a championship, but we did do a lot more than I think most teams expected. And Jamal Murray became a superstar. And that's something that Nikola Jokic needed, was that second guy. And Jamal Murray showed us in the bubble that he can be that guy. So if he can continue to play like that, that's a boost for that organization. And it's also another young star that we can have to watch.
Yeah. Before we continue that conversation, Sandra Cooley did put in the chat what constitutes a worst team or division. Trying to understand. So in terms of the division, my understanding is they looked at not only your win-loss record, but they also kind of look back at what your strength of schedule is. They looked at other historically bad divisions, and I think the starting point for that is probably divisions where the champion finished either at 500 or below, and they looked at what the entire division did as a whole, what their overall records were, strength of schedule, that kind of stuff. I don't really think they're looking at it from any other perspective because I think trying to get into, looking at actual quality of opponents or looking at how many points they scored might get a little bit too in depth. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody didn't start looking at, yards per game or points per game and all that kind of stuff or statistical rankings on offense and defense to figure out who had the worst. I think that's usually more team based than looking at the whole division. But there's people out there who don't have lives. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did all that.
Yeah, and then as far as the worst team goes, you're just basing it on the record and how they've measured up compared to other teams. We definitely don't have the worst team in the NFL in the division. There's a couple of teams definitely worse. There's that Jets team for sure, and there's that Jaguars team. So we know at least there's a couple of teams worse. But yeah, for me, the one thing I would add to the conversation about worst division is placing it against other teams throughout history. So you're looking at teams, and they don't go all the way back to when the NFL started. They go back, I think, to like the 70s or something like that. So it's still a good amount of time.
Like
I think
after
they
the
go back
merger.
to when they started keeping, after the merger, when they started keeping more consistent stats, and they had those divisions to look at. But it's just a matter of how well they played versus other divisions. More of the general stats like records for a whole division. So you don't have as many teams that have a whole division where everyone's under 500. So when you go back and you look through, there's a very small amount of those. Once you hit that threshold of no one being above 500, I think you start to fall into that conversation. And unfortunately, there is no way for us to get out of the conversation this year.
Yeah. So just a quick update for those of y'all who may be wondering, the Ohio State Clemson game is now tied at 7. They are still in the first quarter though. So
while we're talking about that, no, we got the year stuff, but
yeah,
did you see the Cincinnati Georgia game?
Bro, Georgia almost got taken out, bro.
Yes, they did.
And I live here in Georgia, man, so I was kind of hoping it would happen too. I'm not gonna lie, these Georgia fans get on my nerves sometimes. I think everybody feels that way.
To know how Ohio State scored. I know you have the game up, sir.
I believe it was like a 32-yard rush.
Okay,
it might be a little off on the yardage, but it was a running play. It's a big running play.
That's good, man. I watched that Cincinnati Georgia game, and I gotta tell you, that's what I love about college bowl season, man. It's two teams, no national championship, but they went out there and they laid it out there. And Georgia did make an epic comeback to win that game. But Cincinnati is here. They're one of those teams like, look, we're not in that major 5, we in that next 5, but we can play with those teams. And I think they showed, to at least to some extent, they showed that today because they really should have won that game.
Yeah, I gotta tell you though, man, the thing that I questioned with Georgia was you were down 3 points with like 3 minutes left in the game and you punted. I mean, obviously it ended up paying off for them, but that's a pretty big gamble right there. You're really hoping that you're going to get that football back.
Well, they had done a good job. That was really 2 halves, right? So the first half was Cincinnati. Like Cincinnati was running it. They had it. They had the game in hand. They scored at the end of the first half. But that second half is like Georgia came back out and the defense woke up. So I think when you're playing that way, you can take that risk. And if it doesn't work, hey, it doesn't work. But that was a calculated risk for them to take. But as a sports fan, you kind of look and you say, if that didn't work, Kirby Smart would be getting the business right now, especially in Athens and around Atlanta.
Yes, he would. They would be talking about some maybe it's time for Kirby to go if they had lost that game.
Boy, they'd be trying to run. They'll be trying to run you out quick up there.
Yes, they will.
Real quick.
But yeah, so getting back to the conversation on the 2020, man, for me, it was a very interesting year in sports. I had some highs and lows. Literally
Yeah.
watched my team get cheated out of a Super Bowl in February, and then watch that same team literally within the same calendar year become just absolutely decimated by injuries and miss out on the playoffs. I also watched my Florida State basketball team. I'm not going to talk about my football team. I had zero expectations there. But watched my basketball team last year had a real shot between the amount of talent we had and the fact that some of the other big players had a down year last year. I really do feel like we had a great shot at winning the national championship last year. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, but we're not going to have the same opportunity this year. So I feel like we kind of missed out on a chance there. And then of course my Lakers, man, won the 17th franchise title. You know, I know that that one was special for them because of Kobe passing last year, and you know they kind of dedicated that championship to him. So you know, to me, even though I wasn't happy about some of the other stuff, that alone I think kind of made up for it for me. So I'm just gonna pretend the rest of 2020 didn't happen. The Lakers won the championship. Everything else didn't exist. So, but we'd love to
So
hear what y'all think, man. What kind of stuff did y'all enjoy from 2020? What were some things that you loved or hated this year? It could be about your team, another team, doesn't matter. Let us know in the chat.
well, I say one thing. One other thing for me was, and you touched on a small part of it. We had a lot of personalities, a lot of you know personally we've had lost people. I know I have, as well as celebrities, different sports and actors, entertainers. So it's a tough year as far as just a lot of loss. So it feels like a lot of really good people were um, taken from us this year. So that was tough, and it was kind of hard to get through. A lot of some of those really affected people as a whole, or a lot of people. So I thought that was a something that stuck out to me and will always for 2020.
Yeah.
And on the good side, man, we were able to get back to sports, because there was a time when you really didn't know if we were actually going to even get to sports, if we were going to get that opportunity to see an NBA champion crown, if we were going to get a Major League Baseball champion, if we were going to have soccer, if we were going to have this football season. There was a time where we didn't know. So to be able to get back to everything, that was definitely the highlight to me for the year, because we do a sports show, so we have sports.
You know, man,
It
and
was
I think
difficult.
yeah, I think the interesting thing about the hiatus, because we had like 4 months there where there was nothing,
Yeah,
and even though I think it kind of gave us all a little bit of a dual perspective. On one hand, we all realized that there are things in life outside of sports, and we all had a chance to maybe do some of those things, connect with family, get to know people better, be in some of those conversations. But we also realize just how much sports connects us, and how it creates more of those opportunities. And even for people that you don't know, you just are have an instant connection with somebody just because they have on a jersey of your favorite team or your favorite player.
yeah,
So to get that back and be able to have something to connect with in a time where we all needed to be socially distanced and couldn't connect with each other was huge. So
yeah.
definitely glad to get that. I will just say, John Venable asked for our thoughts on UNC basketball this season. Since you are the UNC fan, I'm going to let you respond to that. But I did just want to respond to G Sosa's comment by first of all doing this, and then I also wanted to let G Sosa know that happy you showed up tonight, man. We were wondering. We didn't know if you were going to show up after that Notre Dame Alabama game earlier, but I assume you had low expectations for that, or I should say, realistic expectations for that. That you guys weren't going to win, but hey, you kept it closer than Texas A&M did, so congratulations on
Exactly.
that.
So all those fans can shut up.
Yes.
But so John, let me just give you my quick thoughts on the Tar Heels so far. It's a young team, uh, and we're young at positions that matter, like point guard, shooting guard. The guards are young. A lot of the backups, guys that come in to fill roles, are first year players. So the problem you have when you have that is you have a lot of ups and downs. You don't have the same consistency. that you would have from guys who may have been around a little longer, except for Leaky Black, who just doesn't seem to be a consistent guy so far. Granted, last year he was hurt a lot, but I think it's a team that's going to go deep into the tournament. They're going to find a way to get it together as the season goes on. The young boys are going to play better. I know Roy's benched some of his starters and put in some young guys to try to show them that, look, man, you still got to earn your role. Now, what I will say is I'm not mad about Day'Ron Sharpe starting. And whoever got to sit for Day'Ron Sharpe to start, they need to sit because Day'Ron Sharpe is a double-double machine and he's a monster. So, you know, he needs to be in the lineup, whether it's the first person off the bench in the big rotation or whatever, but he needs to be in there. Now, after the horrible taste that the Tar Heels left in my mouth last year, I tempered my expectations this year. So I think that's a big part of why I'm not up on every social media thing going, the Tar Heels are terrible. They lose the games. They're not ranked. Because I already realized we didn't have a lot of talent last year. We really only replaced that talent by getting young guys in. So they have to have time to grow. So, you know, when you look at, it should be Notre Dame for life anyway, G. So you got to stick with your peoples no matter if they do good or bad. Just to acknowledge that. But the thing is, you had to replace the people. You had to replace them with young guys. They're inconsistent. There's not a young guy that comes in that's not inconsistent. So we're going to have to find a way to fight through it. They're going to have to trust Roy, trust the system. And, you know, guys that are the vets like Leaky, you know, and some of those other guys, he's going to have to play better. They're going to have to pick it up. They're going to have to be verbal leaders. They're going to have to pick the teammates up. And, you know, they're going to have to go in there. They're going to have to dominate in the paint. And Bacot, you know, he's going to have to do his thing. Brooks going to have to do his thing. And you have to turn it around. That's what it's going to be. If they don't do what they need to do, we're not going to win. If they become leaders and help the young guys, then, you know, we got a better opportunity.
Yeah. Just a quick update for you. Clemson did score on the ETN run, made the score 14-7. And Ohio State had a big 50-yard pass down the field. And they're now currently in the red zone down inside the 5. I think it's fourth down now, though.
Every time these boys play, it's like shootout. And they're both supposed to have good defenses, but it's always a shootout. So, you know, ready though, you know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be a good game. We on for an hour. When this is over with, you know I'm going to be in front of my TV with that on too, real talk. Because I know it's a good game. I know it's a good game. It's always a good game. Now, wanted to switch gears real quick. Talk a little NBA. So we got, you know, a couple of weeks in. We weren't on last week, so we didn't get any of those knee-jerk reactions to the first game or the second game. So, you know, we look right now in the East. That's true, G. Sosa. But he's been getting some one and dones. Day'Ron is going to be a one and done. That man ain't coming back to play another year of college ball. That's for sure. I know you probably ain't seen no Carolina games yet, but that boy's a one and done. That boy good. Ain't big. That boy good. But looking at the NBA, right now, top teams in the East, the 76ers and the Pacers and the Magic. They all 4-1. The Magic just lost their first game last night. You know, you look at the bottom, you see the Raptors, Pistons, and Wizards. Sticks out to me is the Wizards. The reason they're undefeated, well, the reason they are unwinned, we're going to call it. The reason they're unwinned is because Bradley Beal lost the ball on a dunk at the end of the game last night. That would have won the game. But Westbrook's been putting up triple doubles and they're losing, so it's tough, man. But anytime you bring a new player in the caliber of like a Westbrook, it's going to take some time for the team to gel. And I think you're going through that gelling process with them. And that's what you're seeing. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're seeing. But it's going to get better. The Hawks are in 4th. Nets are in 5th. Cavs are 6th. Celtics 7. Hornets 8. I just point out those because those are the teams where the season ended today that would be in. You know what I mean? So, but you know, you got Boston's going to climb up. They're a better team than what they're playing right now, and we're still early in the season. You know, I expect to see Miami roll up some too. You know, Cleveland, I expect them to go down, to be honest with you. I know that I expect them to go down. Orlando, probably them too. But then you look at like the Nets, right? I don't know if y'all have caught any Nets games this year. Kevin Durant Kevin Durant, excuse me, is a fool. This boy be out there just snapping. He'll play 20 minutes to score 25 points. He's a fool. And you can't, I know everybody wants to talk about Harden's the best scorer out there. Y'all sleeping on Durant because he was hurt. That boy scored buckets.
Oh, yeah.
They need to be Buckets Johnson.
Yeah, I was fine with people talking about that last year with Durant out, but Durant's the best scorer in the game. There's nobody that puts up points like he does. But I do just have to say, man, I mean, we're like a week and a half into the season, and I got to pull Allen Iverson out on you here. We talking about standings? Standings? We talking about the standings?
We talking about standings. You know why we talking about standings? Because
not no games, but the standings.
Oh, we talking about standings. Yeah, we talking about standings the weekend, bro. Yes, we are. Guess why? Because give you an idea. Yeah, another reason why you might be saying standings. You talking about standings? Is because those are going to slide on over here to the Western Conference. I see an LA team at the top, but it's not the Lakers. I see the Lakers team. The team of yours is fifth.
Okay,
but right now, like seriously though, separates first place from 10th place is one game in the loss column, maybe a game or two in the win column. The reason why I talk about it early on is it gives you an idea of how things are panning out so far. So then you think about the difference between now and 2-3 weeks from now, when we get halfway through the season, or if teams were able to stick. Because sometimes you got cats that come up and they stay up. Sometimes you got cats that they're a little shaky and they fall back down. So I like to look at different points in the season and see where teams are at, so I can see who's coming up, who might be that team to watch for the next couple of years, who might be that team that's just trash. So yeah, I'm talking about standings, not games, but standings. But guess what? You can't have standings if you don't play games. So you need games to play standings.
Well, hey, man, I'm just gonna say, I don't care about your standings. Take my feet and grind them off in your standings.
And I'm gonna say, yo, couch. That's my level, sir.
I mean, for me, I don't really look at standings just early in the season. I understand where you're coming from. It's not really something I look at personally, because I know that the second half of the season, almost everybody's a different team. So I really kind of wait to see, like the Lakers, obviously we brought in a lot of new people this year. You got to develop chemistry. You got to get guys used to playing together, get guys acclimated into the system, what you want to do. So it's going to be a different team. We've lost a couple games that we shouldn't probably have lost, but it's still early in the season, man. I'm not really worried about it. I feel like the Lakers have the pieces that they need to repeat as champions again this year. So if we're still fifth in the standings coming into the season, it becomes a story. Being fifth after like 4 or 5 games, yeah.
Well, you can take your Lakers opinion and you can purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. That's what you can do with your Lakers opinion, sir.
I will give you my Lakers opinion and serve you some pancakes.
Game. But Billy Lakers. B, yeah, I agree, man. The Fields looks pretty good, and G so I agree with you on that, bro. He looking good right now. He got to play well though. He really does. Whether they win or lose, because you want to make sure you can be a top pick. Because we know who's going first. You know what I'm saying? We know Trevor Lawrence is going to be the first player and the first quarterback off the board. But after that, you know how it go. Everybody talk about Justin Fields is the second quarterback that people are going to take. But then you get to the draft and they take somebody else instead. So he got to go out there and show people that he's more versatile and there's a lot of things he can do. This may be his last opportunity to do so before the draft.
Well, he put a lot of extra pressure on himself because he said something that I know how he meant it, but it was a pretty dumb thing to say, because he actually came out in an interview and said, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but essentially he said that he's preparing a lot more for this game than he's ever prepared for another game. And I was just thinking to myself, like, dude, I know what you're trying to say. Like, you're trying to highlight the importance of this game, but every NFL scout just heard I don't really prepare for games. This is the first game I prepare for all season. That's what every NFL scout just heard you say. No matter what
This is
you
what they
meant.
heard.
I was like,
That's what they heard.
bruh. I was like, bro, you can't come out and say that. Just say good things about your opponent and say that you were looking forward to going out there and executing your game plan. That's all you can say, bro. Just if you want to talk about how you've been up in the film room watching film, that's cool. Don't compare to what you've been doing though. Don't let us know. Don't let us know that you were slacking the rest of the season. All 6
I'm
games.
gonna tell you, man, they're gonna be treated like they be treating old boy. Yeah, I was the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. All you hear about him is, he's not really serious about basketball, and he doesn't put all his heart and effort into it. So yeah, you do got to watch what you say. I mean, like you said, I feel what you're trying to say. You got to watch yourself, bro, because they're always watching. They're always trying to come up with something to say.
Yeah, I mean, at this
Real
point, everything you say or do is basically interview. You're on the clock at this point, bro.
What he supposed to say? He like, I'm too good, don't need to prep. Hey, you might think that way, but I'm gonna tell you what, when it comes time to get that check, get that draft pick, you better show him you got a brain for the game too. Real talk.
Well, they seem to like those Ohio State quarterbacks of there now, Washington, man. So
Man, chill, bro, chill. Bro. Oh, the football team, they'll be picking late in the draft anyway. You know what I'm saying?
They're gonna be in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're gonna be in the playoffs.
Playoffs. Get a little Jim Moore going for you too,
bruh.
But yeah, man. When I look at the NBA, man, it's interesting. I think you have a lot of teams that kind of stepped up this year. It's going to be fun to watch. I think, the story everybody's kind of waiting to see where it's going to go is this whole James Harden thing in Houston. It's only a matter of time before that breakup happens. So I think that's kind of the big thing right now. Once that happens, we'll see, is it going to be one of those landscape shifting moves, or is he going to go somewhere where it's not going to really matter? So that's what's going to be interesting to see. And I think that will really help us get a better idea of what's going to happen. But man, like you said, the way KD playing right now, the Eastern Conference is going to be a lot more fun than it's been in a long time to watch, especially come playoff time.
You can get anything from Ohio State except a good quality QB. Hey man, real talk. I can't argue with that. You know what I'm saying? I can't argue with that. But I changed my stance, man. I said that they were going to trade Harden. I'm not so sure now. I've been watching the games, and I don't know how this is happening, but they playing well with Harden. Harden not throwing alley oops to people. Him and Wall over on the side talking, like not arguing, but like talking about plays. And Wall's only played 1 game with him because he was hurt. But yeah, they playing pretty good actually. So, I know he still might be behind closed doors, like, look, man, blah, blah, blah. But the way they playing, like the way they're playing together, like as a team, they're not playing too well, as far as like wins as of yet. But they might have something. This Wall trade might have been good for him in a crazy way. I was against it, but it may work out.
Well, man, I think that, just like we were talking about with Justin Fields, I think James Harden understands that. And James Harden is now basically putting on a good show for potential suitors who may have been scared off by some of his other antics, especially after this video came out of him in the same establishment as Dwayne Haskins. Maybe not the same location, but the same type of establishment that Dwayne Haskins was in. So,
just saying, man. I think that maybe we jumped the gun a little bit. Maybe he will stay, and maybe they will be all right.
Maybe
the other thing too, I really think about. I'm looking around the league, and I'm thinking, where can he go? That's going to be a better team, right? That's going to be able to absorb his money and be a better team. Because if you're going from there to the Hornets, you're not making yourself any better. Not saying that they would take him, but just as an example, you ain't making yourself no better. So if it's not gonna get you closer to getting to the playoffs or closer to winning, you may as well stay where you're at. So it may end up being that they can be a top four, top five seed in the West with this team that they have now because actually it plays well together. And Christian Wood, I know it's only been like 5 games, but Christian Wood, he's out there balling. And they needed a big who can ball because obviously they traded everybody away last year. Don't know why they did that, but that's a whole nother show. That could be a
Yeah.
whole show.
Now I'll tell you, man, the team, and I feel like this is a bit of a overreaction at the moment because like I said, I think mostly everyone's going to probably be a little different second half, except for the teams that are truly bad. But I've been a little surprised by the struggles in Golden State, man. I expected them to be a better team than they are right now. I still think they'll get it together as the season goes on, but they're not playing as well as I expected.
Well, they're about where I expected them to be honest, because you're leaning on James Wiseman to play some sort of big minutes rookie. You got Oubre in there. He's a completely different player from Klay Thompson. Doesn't have the J. They're gonna have to find some guys to get in that rotation that can shoot. Because they got a lot of guys that can drive to the basket or maybe pull up for a 10, 15 footer. But you got Steph and then some other guys on and off for shooters. You got to be more consistent from the three. Until they do that, they're gonna struggle. But they're the poster child for a team that's going to be better down the road than they are now. Once they get it together, I never said they were going to be like a top seed or you know what I'm saying one of the better teams, but they'll be in the hunt for the playoffs, especially since they're going to keep that format where you know if you have a team that's close, they had that playing game. So as long as you finish as one of the top 9 or 10 teams, you'll be good.
Yes, just a quick update. Fields did just take Ohio State down the field, and they are now up 21-14. So
Fields took Ohio State down the field.
So all the people that just were like, oh, it's a foregone conclusion that it's gonna be Alabama and Clemson. Ohio State said that they heard y'all talking about that. Heard them talking about they ain't deserve it because they only played 6 games and all this other stuff. They asked something to prove tonight.
Well, the biggest person saying that was Dabo, and he's on the other sideline. So,
Yep.
if you're gonna get the other team a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of bulletin board material, then don't be surprised when they use it.
Right.
That's pretty much what's happening with Dabo right now. And then, hey, just what you say earlier, Justin Fields said he prepared for this game like no other. So he showed y'all what happened when he prepared. You know what I'm saying? He's a professional. And when he prepares, he play like a professional.
I'm a man. I'm 18.
Anything is possible.
If you believe. Hey man, I want to get your thoughts on something here real quick, man. I saw this story the other day that came out. This guy who is I guess he's like a capital venturist or whatever. Like he invests in different stuff, and apparently, just a short period of time before Kobe passed, he had some conversations with him, and the word was Kobe wasn't happy with the way Nike was promoting his line after he retired. And he was actually planning to leave Nike, start his own shoe company where the players would be able to retain the rights to their shoes. So, obviously we'll never know 100% if that was true or not. But I think it's kind of interesting because it's essentially similar to what they tried to do with the Big Baller brand. Except for this would have been an NBA player who already had the connections, who already had the reputation, and going in and trying to do that. I mean, what do you think, man? Do you think that's something that we might see somebody, like LeBron, who's obviously very business savvy? Do you think you might see somebody try to do that and try to change the sneaker game?
He was actually the first person that came to mind for me. Dwayne Wade wore shoes from different places and they real tight. I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron were to do something like that. It came out that he wanted his own line at Nike. And he wanted to sign Luka as the first LeBron James player, but they told him not yet. So If you think about it, his contract's probably coming up in the next few years with Nike, and there may be a time where he says, "Hey, I'm gonna go start my own brand," or at least do kind of like Jordan did and go get a his own brand,
Yeah.
even if it's still within Nike. But you think about the players like Dame Lillard. He's got to deal with Adidas. James Harden. Some of those guys. One of those guys could be the guy to say, you know what, I'm gonna start my own sneaker company, or a couple of those guys get together. And I think it would be good, because it would allow players to want to play, to want to go to that brand, because the biggest thing that came out of that story was retaining the rights. Because we know now Nike's got the rights. So you leave, unless you're Jordan, you leave, you might get a little bit from your shoes being sold, but the rights to all that stuff stays with Nike.
Yep.
So if you're telling me I can come to your brand, I can sign with you, you still make your money, of course, but I retain the rights even after I retire to my brand name. That's huge. Because if
Yeah.
you put out a shoe that people still like to rock, you put out the next Jordan or something like that, then you have a big stake in that. And I mean, you can't go wrong with that. You're making more money. I mean, it's all about money. Let's be real. It's all about money.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Instead of having Nike get all the money, trying to put something together where players can get money. And we always talk about them getting their money with the contracts. Why not get their money with their shoe deals too?
Right. And and it comes down to, when you sign a contract with somebody like Nike, if you're not happy with the way your stuff's getting marketed, if they decide they're gonna push somebody up above you, you're pretty much powerless. You really can't do anything about it except for sit over there and be unhappy.
Just like being on Bad Boy Records.
It's more like being on Big Chain Records. Branded chain.
Hey, or we could take it back to the lots, the Raping You Records. It sounds a little bit something like that too. But I had another thing I wanted to get your opinion on.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard or not, and people may or may not have heard, but Baron Davis and Master P are looking to buy the Reebok brand from Adidas, and they want to turn it into an urban brand. They want to bring back the shoes from the old players who used to wear like the pumps and everything, the D Browns and the AIs and all the players that were on that brand back in the day. They want to, bring those shoes back out and make it more like an urban wear brand. What do you think? Do you think that, guys like Master P and Baron Davis, that's something that, they can accomplish? And do you think people would go buy Reebok if they knew that, it's now black owned and they're changing their image?
I mean, I think, people, probably still buy Reebok to an extent, but it's obviously not something people buy a lot of. I know people still to this day will rock a pair of classics. But when you look at the overall brand, I think that, Reebok has struggled in a couple different areas. And a big part of it, I think, is because the designs aren't that great. I mean, let's just be honest about it. Even when they had the NFL jerseys,
Yeah.
like the jerseys just didn't seem like high quality. So I think a lot of people have really lost faith in the company for that reason. And the only reason that, classics was still selling was because you could go get them on sale for like 50, $60. That's the only reason people were still rocking those. So I think that, as a company, it makes sense for them to do. Now, you specifically mentioned them Allen Iverson shoes. And I know a lot of people, did rock the pumps, but those answers were like the best shoes ever, bruh. Like, they was comfortable, they looked hot, everybody loved them. So if you're able to keep the rights to bring some of them shoes back, you're automatically going to be able to generate some interest just with some of the marquee shoes that you had back in the day to be able to bring those out. Now, in terms of what they'll be able to do going forward, that might be a little more questionable. I know Master P has had a run in the past trying to do different clothing or shoe stuff. They did not work out so hot. So they might want to keep him off the design rack and let somebody else do that. Just let him be a money man. But I'd be interested to see what they do.
Yeah, I think it could be good, man. I would be interested to see it. I know the AIs were good, but I'm gonna tell you, playing ball, you get your pair of them old school high top pumps, pump them joints up with a little ball in the front, point them joints up, bro. Shoot,
Pump them up, B.
them ankles is good. Then you know what I'm saying. And we a little bit older, so we need that ankle. We need them ankle support. So yeah, them, them pumps is good too. They're comfortable. But yeah, man, Reebok had some good shoes at one point. They just got away. Yep, them all black D bounds. That's the ones, G Sosa.
Yep.
You go ball in them joints, or you rock them joints out. It's nothing.
Well, they went all black though. They hit that orange basketball on the tongue.
See, man, nah. Yeah, G Sosa, the all black D Browns. So we're not even, sometimes, man, you just have to let people have their little laugh, man. Them all black joints, bro. It was true. And you remember when he was in the dunk contest with them joints and he pumped them up, then he went and did the lean in? That was hard. That was hard. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff you had back in the day. He was never like a superstar player, but everybody remember him. And you remember the D Brown pumps. And you got to get more of that back in. And you need another brand because you got Adidas. And Adidas really they don't care about Reebok. They just bought them and just kind of kicked them to the side. Yeah. So if you can get them out from under Adidas and have them be their own brand again, that would be great. And that would give you another brand for people to be able to go and, explore. So you got young players. Now they're going to Puma. Puma's trying to make their comeback. You got New Balance. Jamal Murray, I think, signed with New Balance as well. So now you got a couple of dudes that's kind of getting it in. That's got the New Balance basketball shoes. You got Puma. So more the Shams. You taking it back, bro. You wilding. You taking it back. But
yeah, man.
You just got
competition's always good, man.
Do.
Yeah, competition's always good, bro.
The Shaqs. Yeah. Shaqs with some good ones. I ain't gonna front.
Jesus had all these. Jesus had all these.
Brother, remember them Kamikazes though? Them Kamikazes was good basketball shoes. They ain't look that good, but them Kamikazes, bro, you could ball in them joints too. Reebok was all about balling shoes back in the day because them pumps. Because I had Jordans, like I balled the Jordans when I was young, because that's what people bought you. But then when I got a little bit older, I was like, let me try something different. I had them D Browns, I had the regular pumps, and I had the Kamikazes, and I had the Shaqs.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, man, that for me, the answer threes was my favorite ones. I had a pair of those back in the day when I worked at Foot Locker. Used to wear those out on the sales floor every day. Love them shoes, man. Go play ball in them after work. Like you said, I'm a little too old, and I try to go out there and play some balls, some answer threes. Now my ankles gonna be like,
it gonna be like pools of dust. You'll be on the show. You'll be on the show leaning further back. Everybody gonna wonder why it's because your legs gonna be suspended up while the metal bars heal.
My ankles gonna be over there looking like Thanos snapped them.
Terrible, bro. Terrible. Terrible.
Dusted, bro. Dusted. Got blinked.
That's terrible, bro. That's real bad. But real talk, man, you get a little bit older, things don't always go the way they used to go. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it's gonna be. Check it. So last week of the NFL season, we're not even gonna go through the normal picks because we already know what it is. Half of these games, like you said earlier, half of these games we already know people ain't playing. We already know Kansas City, they're not playing. Mahomes not playing. There's no point in playing. They can't lose the number one seed. There's no point in playing, right? You got teams like Pittsburgh. I saw Ben Roethlisberger is out, so they gonna be where they gonna be. They already clinched their playoff spot. They already in. So now it's just the other teams winning. So what I'm gonna talk about is the teams that have a chance to get in, and who do you think is gonna get in? Let's switch it up a little bit for that last questions. Let's switch it up for this last week. So we got 5 teams in the AFC. 4 of them make the playoffs. 1 is out. Right now, the Titans, the Dolphins, the Ravens, and the Browns are the teams in the playoffs. And the Colts are on the outside looking in. So do you think that the Colts are going to be able to take one of these other teams out? Or do you think that the Titans, Dolphins, Ravens, and Browns are going to stay in the playoffs?
So I think that if the Colts are able to get in, the team that is going to be most likely to fall out is probably the Browns. They're a little bit hit or miss at the moment, so I could see them potentially falling out. But I won't be surprised if they're able to hold on to that spot.
Well, let me give you the matchups. And let's see if you
Okay.
still have the same thoughts after the matchups. Titans are playing the Texans.
Okay. That's
Dolphins are playing the Bills.
mhm. But the Bills don't really have anything to play for, though, right?
Well, they right now are number two, but they need to win to keep the number two seed because if the Steelers win, they can take it away from them. The Ravens play the Bengals, and the Browns play the Steelers. And the Steelers are without Roethlisberger. The Colts play the Jaguars, though. So you got like the Colts should win their game. I'm gonna put it out there. The Colts should win their game. You know what I'm saying? Titans should win their game. Ravens should win their game. It's between the Dolphins and the Browns. If I think if somebody's gonna lose their game, and I'm more to leaning towards if somebody loses probably the Dolphins. Everybody's 10-5, so if you lose, it's a good possibility that you're gonna be out unless somebody else loses as well. But I think the Colts are gonna win their game, so there's a matter of who loses is gonna drop out. I'm anticipating that being Miami or Cleveland. So that's my thoughts on the AFC.
Who'd you say Miami was playing?
Miami's playing the Bills, and the Bills need to win to make sure they keep the number two seed.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a tough one. So Miami is actually on the cusp of not getting in. Okay, I was thinking they were already in.
Now they're
So
all everybody's 10-5, so a
okay.
loss and you could be out.
Yeah, I mean I can't rule that out as a possibility. That Miami could lose that game. I still think that even without Roethlisberger, the Browns are just an up and down team that could mess around and lose. Pittsburgh
Okay.
defense is still good. Um,
True.
but without Roethlisberger, that definitely gives them a little bit better chance. If Miami's able to win their game, then that's obviously going to leave Indianapolis out. I do absolutely think that Indianapolis will beat Jacksonville and put themselves in a position to at least be able to get in with some help.
I feel that. When you roll over to the NFC, same thing. The Packers have already clinched their division. They got a spot in. The Saints have clinched their division. They got a spot in. The Seahawks have clinched their division. They got a spot in. The Bucks have already clinched their spot. They'll be the number 5 seed, even if they lose. And the reason for that is, as crazy as it sounds, after you get there, you got the football team, sitting at 6-9. You also got the Cowboys at 5-10, and 6-9. The Giants at 5-10. So either one of those three teams can win the NFC East, depending on how things play out. Then, as far as the other two spots, right now you got the Rams at 9-6. You got the Bears at 8-7, and then you got the Cardinals at 8-7. So I'm feeling like even if they lose, they go to 9-7. The Rams could possibly still get in, but I'm looking at the Rams, Bears, and Cardinals, and I'm asking myself which two of those three teams are going to win. So the Rams play the Cardinals, the Bears play the Packers, and then obviously the Cardinals play the Rams. So somebody's got to lose that game. So essentially, we're probably looking at the loser of that game being out if the Bears win. The Bears playing the Packers. The Packers are 12-3. They have absolutely every reason to continue to play because they need to stay ahead of the Saints. They're only one game up on them for that number one spot, and you want to keep that number one spot because that's the only spot that gives you, a break this year. So, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the Bears have actually played pretty well this season. They're playing really well right now. But Green Bay,
With
like you
Trubisky
said,
plays.
like you said, they trying to wrap up their number one seed. By the way, just an FYI, Fields just took a really big hit in the back, and he is down on the field, holding his ribs.
Mm,
So could be some potential bad news for
it
both
could
Ohio
be.
State fans and his draft hopes here. Although I'm sure
Yeah.
he was still get picked up, but um, yeah. So I think Green Bay wins that game because, like you said, that number one seed is super important. They're going to go out there and definitely want to try to make sure they win that. Uh, the Arizona Rams game, honestly, that's a tough one. It's going to depend if Kyler Murray can play. We already know that the Rams are going to be without Jared Goff. If Kyler Murray's
Yeah.
also out, then I'm going to say the Rams win. If Kyler Murray plays, obviously I think Kyler Murray can beat the Rams with a backup quarterback. So then I would go Arizona. So that's going to ultimately come down to if Kyler Murray actually plays or not. Who gets in there? But I I think the Bears are in trouble.
So Witty Flow says the Bears are out and the Rams losing to the Cards, rooting for Hop. So I guess Witty, the thing is, that could happen. But I feel like the loser of this Cardinals Rams game is going to be the one to drop out. And I think that the Cardinals lost to a backup quarterback last week. So I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that they can turn around and lose again this week. Now, on the flip side of that, if I'm looking at the Rams and Bears and saying which one of those teams I feel less comfortable with, I feel less comfortable with the Bears because I feel like the Bears up and down, right? Literally up and down. You
Yeah,
know, you're sitting here, you're looking at them. One week you're like, man, this team's really good. You know, they might could do something. And the next week, like, this dude's a trash. And this happens with them all the time. This year has just happened to be 50-50. It's normally about 60-40, 60% of the time they're looking like trash. Um, I do agree with you, Winnie, about the Dolphins. No Fitzpatrick to rescue too. Well, that's a very good point
mm.
to bring up because that's kind of like what they've been doing. He's been like the relief pitcher is what they've been calling it, which I think is the most horrible thing you can do to a quarterback. But I ain't the coach.
Yeah,
Um, Garrett about to eat Rudolph. Yeah, Mason Rudolph. We've seen a year of Mason Rudolph, and we know that without Roethlisberger, that's not the same team. So we'll see about that one. But I do believe that Miles Garrett is going to make sure that he puts a nice, solid, hard hit on Mason Rudolph, real
yeah,
solid, and I don't
yeah.
blame him.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. If Roethlisberger out, Mason Rudolph, that offense isn't going to do a lot. So
But no, it's going to be up to the defense.
the only thing that's going to possibly stand in Cleveland's way of getting this dub is if the wrong Baker Mayfield shows up.
Baker's been good without his number one, but did he lose? I think he lost a couple more receivers. I heard him talking about last week. They had some people out, so that'll probably actually end up being a really good game because of both teams missing major pieces.
Yeah,
But Rudolph, you better be prepared, Rudolph. Miles Garrett is coming for you, like Booker T told Ric Flair back in the day, coming for you.
so Ohio State just scored again.
So it feels back in.
I couldn't tell if he was in on the play or not. He's on the sideline right now, like grabbing his hip.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if he's the one that threw the touchdown or not because I couldn't see the uniform.
Yeah. I hope he's all right, man. Even if he don't play no more game, I hope he's all right because you got a chance to do really well based on what everybody thinks about him, all the draft people and everybody. So I hope he don't get hurt and you know take away from that. I know we're about to end real quick, man, but I wouldn't be a homer if I ain't say, man, get well, Derek King, man. I'm glad you're coming back, but dang, I hate you tore that ACL.
Is it
Non-contact play.
is that what he did towards ACL?
Tore a non-contact play. When I saw him go down, I was like, that's an ACL. You could tell. You could tell when they
Yeah.
get hurt. Like it was nobody around. He was trying to run, and he just went out.
I mean, look, man, I'm a Florida State fan. I have absolutely zero love for Miami. period, in the discussion. But you don't ever want to see that happen to nobody, man. Especially not no college kid who ain't even really had a chance to go out there and be able to get paid for his talents. And he's a talented quarterback. He didn't play very well in some of the big games this year, which is part of the reason why he elected not to come out in a very deep quarterback class and come back next year and give himself a better chance next year. So, this now puts him basically where he's probably not going to be able to play next season because he got hurt so early.
He should be back by August.
Think so?
That's what they're saying. He'll be back by August.
That's a very fast turnaround for ACL.
That's not what it used to be for ACL. It's just the ACL, though. It's not the Achilles. It's just the ACL.
Okay, so it's not okay. I got you. I'm so used to people just get in there and tear
the Achilles.
Well, people get in there and tear a whole bunch of stuff, man. They ACL, MCL. They get in there and tear it all.
ACL that they tore. Yeah, it was just the ACL, so he should be back by August, ready to go.
Whitney Flo said Washington had Pittsburgh exposed. Whitney Flo allowed me to point out that about a month ago, when the Steelers were still undefeated. Look, when the Steelers were still undefeated, on this very show, we said that the Steelers were not represented by their record, that they were not a very good football team, and anybody telling us that they were the best team in the league because they were undefeated was talking crazy. And what have they done since? Lost a whole lot of football games. So y'all hear it here first.
We might be slightly paraphrasing, but that was the overall tone of what we were saying.
Yeah, I mean that's what we meant, regardless of how it came across.
Yeah, that's what we said. Yeah.
I can't remember what I had for lunch 2 days ago. You expect me to remember word for word what I said a month ago, man? Come on, it's unrealistic.
Hey man. I just want to make sure people didn't think that we were trying to paraphrase ourselves correctly, that we were just loosely translating what we said.
Man, I paraphrase everybody, including myself. It's what happens when you get over 40, man. You paraphrase yourself and you talk about your ankles dissolving when you try to play in low tops.
That's not even an option, bro. It's not even something you should be considering ever. I don't even look at this age. You don't even want to go outside in low tops. You see why the old heads be rocking the shoes with the big cut shoes. Now you don't even want to walk off the curb in low tops. You're scared you might twist something.
Wait, Flo said that's a whole lot of fast. Look, G Sosa tried to correct me earlier to also the Iverson shoes. So it's the question. No. See, the problem is they couldn't decide if they want to call it the question or the answers. So depending on which model you look at, some of them are actually called the answer and some of them are called the question. So I'm not sure which ones are which. I know the ones I had was actually called the answers. I think the mid tops are the questions. They might be trying to tell you something. If you got questionable ankles, you do wear these. So if them AIs come back out, I might need to get some questions.
No answers, just questions.
No answers, just questions.
Can't do it, man.
Protect the ankles, man. Protect the ankles. Man.
They're important.
Well, man, it is time to go ahead and wrap up.
Yes, sir.
Definitely check out the rest of this game. Definitely not going away. Clemson expected 28-14 with 5 minutes left in the second quarter. So appreciate y'all tuning in. You guys haven't missed anything major if you're not watching the game, because you still got a whole 2 quarters and a half to go, man. So appreciate y'all tuning in, being with us here tonight. So we actually had quite a few people in the queue tonight, man. So appreciate that. But as always, man, it's time to close it up. So this is Cool and Box reminding you until next Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that when the clock runs down,
heroes arise.
Stats lie.
But sometimes, wow.
Nothing is for show.
Until the clock runs out.
It's him and I, the play callers. Y'all better know that.
Yee.
Shout out to North Carolina, the ATL. Y'all better know that. See y'all next Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tell a friend.
And be in them comments, bro. We love it.